Chof Alef from the line starts with Zochu by the two dots. Amar Abchiste.
Okay.
One dot. Okay. Amar Abchiste said, "Behema chetzi shel Nachri v'chetzi shel Yisrael." A behema that belongs half to a Yid and half to a Goy. Mutter l'shachte b'Yom Tif. One is allowed to shechter on Yom Tif. Why? L'chayda, you're shechting the behema for the Goy. We had it last year. We had this already. Another Amud said this. He asked about shechting for you and the Eibishter, right? That's a korban shlamim, or you and a Goy. Now we're going to start going back with the Chiddush. Is going to be about baking. The difference between shechting and baking. Last year we had you could shecht. But the reason that Chista mentions also here, what is the reason why you can't do malacha for a goy on Yom Tif? You can do malacha for yourself. Even more, a goy you can't carry for a goy outside of Yom Tif. You can't carry Yom Tif b'Rishus Rabbim for a goy. You can't tell a goy to carry a middle of Nachri, tell a Nachri to carry for a Nachri, you can't. And a Karmelis will make you. So it's, on Yom Tif you can't do malacha goy, you can't do it. You can't bake, you can't shecht for a goy. So how are you able to shech the behema? Half goes to the goy. The reason is the kazayis basar. You can't eat a kazayis basar without shechting the entire animal. You can't shech a kazayis of the animal. Indeed, after you shechted the animal, you can't go and cook it for the goy. I'm not talking about that. After you shech the animal, which you shechted it also for the goy, because you can't get your mutatat shech for the goy, then you cut your animal in half and take half for yourself. But you're not allowed to cook it for the goy. That's going to be similar to baking. If you have a piece of dough that belongs to you and the goy, the choyre did as an eitzeh. Who lets you go and bake the whole bread? It will be similar to allowing a yid to cook the whole animal. No, you have to cut the animal in half. Let the animal let him cook his half. So to also, if you have a piece of dough that belongs to you and the goy b'shutfis, we're not going to allow you to go and bake it like we allow you to shecht it. Why the shechita? You don't have a breder. You can't get to your half of meat without shechting the whole animal. That's the second din. Says Rab Chista comes to the second din. Isa, however, if you have dough, chetzi shel Nachri v'chetzi shel Yisrael, half belongs to you and half to a goy. Also, you're not allowed to. Shechting you could, baking you can't.
Even though it tastes better if you bake more.
Tastes will discuss that. We'll discuss it in tastes if you want to. Yeah, very good. We had in the other shiurim, you're allowed to even add more for your own in your own oven, more bread because it's going to help you out. But here you can't. What?
Only for eat.
So
here you bake it for God.
But it's the health. But it's actually making the good. You're making it time to throw out even later. You're making it. So Taisa discusses taka the heter we have that you're allowed to fill up your oven. We had it in the past with bread, even though you're only going to eat one loaf of bread because it's going to taste good. It's only because you have the option. Any one of these breads you could eat if you want. It's all yours. Like you said, to go. Because you're not allowed to be mad about more bread for yourself. Only the heter is because every loaf of bread you could claim and you want to eat for yourself. Because the taka belongs to you. However, by the goy, half belongs to the goy. So if you're going to make it, let's say, 2 pieces of bread, one yours, one his, so that other piece that's his, you have no right to touch. So there's no heter, there's no blanket heter if you're going to add to the pot or add to the oven to help your piece of heter to be baked or cooked, you're allowed to. No, there's no blanket heter.
I don't want to be more.
The heter is only when you have 2 elements. Sai, it's going to help that piece of bread that's yours. And Sai, you have the option to eat any of the breads.
Really?
What?
Really?
Okay, very good, Shaila. She's speaking about bread now. It comes to shutfus. It's not identified for the goy. But definitely, you can't eat all of them. If it's your bread, let's say you want to eat all of them, but takes the second answer says, maybe equal orchim are going to come. So you could always say hoyil. What are you saying hoyil? It's possible that all these 5 loaves of bread, even though I could not consume 5 loaves of bread. So first of all, maybe I could. I want to eat a lot of bread. I bread technically. I'm allowed to. It's mine. B, maybe orchim are going to come. And they're going to get the bread. But if I have 5 pieces of bread, half belong to the guy, half to me, you're right. It's always say breder retroactively, maybe it's mine. But definitely, I'm not allowed to consume all 5 because 2.5 belongs to the guy. half belongs to the guy.
Still make-
So there's going to be part of the baking that's 100% not for me, and no way it can be for a yid also. Therefore, you're not allowed to bake for the guy. Taste the little inside and taste it soon. Isa chetzer shenachri v'im toimar like your shaila tastes this. Yeah, v'amar le'il Rabbi Shimon Rabbi Elazar Eimer v'mar le'isha tanu to pass. A lady could fill up the whole tanu to pass. Afal b'sheino tzricha elo to pass achas v'pnei shapas nefis yof b'zman shatanu malei. Your shemamish your shaila tastes the shaila. V'shori left beyond afilu chatchila. Why not? Maybe he holds a Tanakama night because Rabbi Shimon the matir. So why can Rabbi Chisda say you shouldn't go and bake? And for tasters, in Shleima, the Shani Hosim, there's different. The Kol HaPashal Yisrael. All the bread is from the Yid. And really, Sharashutz B'yodi Lechel Kalechad. Not just one is going to be mine and each one could be mine. No, they're all mine. And if I have a good appetite, I'll be able to eat everything. Whereas in our case, you're not allowed to eat. Half belongs to the good. That's number one. So it says, so
You can't say maybe that you'll eat it and you'll pay him back later.
oh, you could, oh, so that's enough shayla. Okay, so you're saying maybe even here it's possible. We're gonna have a similar case soon when it comes to a goy. We're gonna have a similar case when goyim armies come to a city. It's also went to Shulchan Aruch, the same case, and the Yidden are baking for them. Being one of the pieces, it could go to a Yiddish child, they wouldn't mind, so therefore you could cook all of them. So we're going to see that later. Or Moshe Isas Klovim we're going to have in a moment, your case. You're not allowed to also bake for a goy, the halacha is, and not for your animal. That's going to be the halacha. Lochem v'leili, that's a sagdin. Leili Klovim v'leili l'nochrim. So what have the Isas, you're baking bread for your dog. It's a very inferior type of bread. It has bread. It has the mix with the what's it called? Bran. The bran. It's not clear. So then it's not really bread. You don't make a bracha. How might on it if it's meant mamish for the dog? But it's Isas Klovim it's called because the shepherds would have dogs with them to help them lead the sheep, and they'll give them to eat this type of bread. If you made the Isas Klovim with a more better quality bread, which you also meant for yourself as a shepherd to eat also. Then we have a Mishnah Masechta Chala about what's the hadin of this type of bread. And we have here the halachas what you can do with it. One of the things is you're allowed to bake it on Yom Tiv. Most definitely there's going to be part of that you're going to throw to your dog. So how could you bake how could you bake the whole piece of the whole bread, the whole loaf, if most definitely a chelik will for sure go to the dog? So our Gemara is going to discuss. It's a good shaila. Therefore, you have to say two things. Either you say hoyil. Hoyil means if I would have had something else to throw to my dog, I would have had a piece of meat to throw to him, then this entire bread belongs to me. So therefore I could have eaten the whole bread. Why the goy? Can you have another shayla? Maybe I could pay him off. Wait,
right.
First
of all, how does it mean they're shutuf? It means that they're shutfus in the bakery?
No, this
in the whole. So the next baking, he'll give it all to the guy.
Yeah, okay, so good. And even if they admit that he wants to eat this, maybe you could bribe him. Well, let's just get to this. We're in the singing. So here by the dog, right? By the dog, it belongs to you. You could eat the whole thing, but you're not going to eat the whole thing because the purpose was to give some to your dog. But there's a question of hoyil. Hoyil, what does hoyil mean? Being, if I would have had meat to feed my dog, I would be able to eat the whole thing myself. So therefore, you could go ahead and bake it on Yom Tiv. Or the Gemara said it's not good enough. Some Amiram don't hold of Hoyil. Hoyil is a hypothetical thing. I could have. Yeah. So according to the other Amiram, the Pshat it's speaking about a case that you actually have. I actually have raw meat to throw to my dog, and I'm also baking bread for my dog. So that bread, I had the option, but I'm going to eat the entire bread for myself. Why? Because I have other foods, animal food to feed my animal. And therefore, even if I give my dog some of this, it's not going to be a problem. But shutfin from a goy is a big problem because half of it belongs to the goy. Now, the Meish is asking, would there be an option? It's hoyil also. What's a hoyil? I'm able to buy his chelik. Good. I didn't see Meret Shvegin them, but then maybe it's already something that is that common or not. Maybe we speak about a case of they're traveling together, and they rely on the bread. So if they're traveling on a caravan or on a boat together, and they have meals, and people share their meals, it's a common case of shutfus, yeah. So there's no buying back. I need to eat my bread every day. have to eat bread in the morning, bread in the evening. So the guy is relying that day of Yom Tov to eat part of the bread. So in that case, it could be speak about the case where clearly he's relying on that bread, so there's no buying off. Where it comes to the shepherds, let's finish up Taisus. The first answer was right. You already started Taisus. So first, maybe first of all he's able himself to eat all the bread. It belongs to him, or even it could be Archim going to come. Our case, the Chetzer Shel Nachri, half belongs to the guy. Asur le'afeisa b'yom if you can't, because half of it most definitely I will be baking for the guy, and that's not allowed. Back to our Gemara. Back to Gemara. Yeah, so also Isur Chetzer Shel Nachri, so Yisrael Asur le'afeisa b'yom tiv. Why? You could split it when you're making the dough, and therefore no one allows you to go ahead and bake it. So that's the speaking about Esau. There's already an Esau. Lisha here means, but later we're going to have talk about Kemach. The next case will be it is Kemach. The soldiers came and they give us 3 sacks of Kemach to the Yidden and the people in the city, and they have to go bake for them Kemach. Could you, of course, the Bikuach Nefesh you're not talking about. Speak on a case, it's not Bikuach Nefesh, but the soldiers will be happier, and you don't want to get this called Shasat Chak. When soldiers come with sacks of wheat, sacks of grain when they're passing by cities, and they require the subjects, people living there, to bake their bread for them, it's going to be called Shasat Chak. And therefore we'll have some story. And it's also mentioned actually in Shulchan Aruch, this story, because it could happen often. What's about, could I bake for the goy on his, and with his Kemach? And there the Shem Taka speak, while I was speaking about Afiyah, what's about the actual Lisha itself? And actually Afiyah Lisha could be even worse, because why could it go and separate this flour? We're going to get to it in the next piece of Gemara. Yeah? Let's go weiter. Now on this din that you're allowed to, you must split the dough before you bake it, and you're not allowed to bake together your piece of bread and the goy's piece of bread. The Gemara has a shaila from the story of Nisha and Chala of Isas Klovim. It's going to say over there that this dough that was baked for the dog, but it's edible for the man as well. So the intention was for him to also take part and eat from it. There we say one is allowed to bake it on Yom Tiv. And we just finished saying you can't. Why should we allow him to bake for his dog on Yom Tiv? Let's say half is for him and half is for his dog. Let him split it in half and take only half. And you see the Mishnah Challah that clearly says that if the quality of the dough is also edible for man, for human consumption, meaning the Chatchila was mixed together with the intention also to eat from it, then one is allowed to go ahead and bake the entire bread also for his dog. It's a clear contradiction. Here it's a guy, here it's a dog with the same shaila. Let's make him split it in half. Let's see the Gemara shaila. In fact, the Gemara, we have a Mishnah, he sat and asked a question. A Mishnah in Masechta Chala, Isas Kalavim, that we described before, that has this klippus, and that's described what it is. Bizman shaharoyim oichli mimeno, when the shepherds also eat from this bread. Now you have a list of things. Chayovim b'chala. First of all, you must separate chala. Animal food, you don't have to separate chala from. Human food that you're going to eat, you do have to. We're saying here, it's speaking about the zman shaharoyim oichli mimeno. That means it's made differently than the typical dog food. It's made for men to eat as well. So all this chayuvim, we're going to consider it mamish to be bread. So one halach is you have to separate challah for the kiyum. Another halach is ma'arvim bo. Eruv chatzeres must be made from bread. Has. So if it's real isas klavim where man cannot eat from it, you can't use it for an eruv chatzeres because you have to have bread. Being you made it, the ingredients is meant for man, you could use for made. Also shitufei muvois. We know about the concept of eruv chatzeres, and we know today because we do it today as well. Not so common today to have a shitufei muvois. That's the same concept of eruv chatzeres, but just you're not gathering together and uniting different homes in one chatzer, but you're gathering different chatzeros in one mavui.
We don't do it. Everybody else does.
No, I'm saying I don't know if today we didn't have in our countries, and those actually describes it, that was then.
You have bungalow color, you can have such a situation.
Right. So you had in those times you had an alley, a mavui, like an alleyway, And in this alleyway, two walls, Mufulish is closed, Mufulish is open, Sosum is closed, but either way. And then in the two walls, going into one wall, you come into a big yard with homes around, and they have a chotzer, and they have a wall around the yard. You walk further down the wall into this alleyway to the left, there'll be another door going to opening to a new chotzer. So every chotzer themselves, if they want to carry from the homes to the chotzer, or from chotzers to homes, or home to another home, they must make their own Eruv Chatzeris. However, if they want to carry in that alleyway, or they want to carry into the alleyway into someone else's chotzer or someone else's home, then all the chatzeros have to join together, just like the homes in the individual chotzer joins together with a eruv. So too, a representative of every chotzer puts food together and joins together to create this called shitufei mevois. It's almost identical to the chatzeros, but it has different dinim. For example, you don't need to have pas by a shituf mevois. Nevertheless, you need to have food. So that's what's given us as an example. And there's maybe other differences around Masechta Erev, and it's all about the singing. And what's about this? If there's holes between the two walls of the chatzeris, could they make their own one? Not this whole, but this is shitufim mevois. So one din, if it's meant for human consumption as well, one is chai to give challah. Two, you could use this food, the bread, for an Erev chatzeris. And three, you're able to use this bread as food for the shitufim mevois, mishtatfim. Right there. But what bracha do you make? You make a bracha hametzi. If would be take only isas klovi mamash that has not edible for man, machlekes is showing to shahakal and but it's not hametzi. It's not whole bread. It's whole wheat. Okay. Yeah. That's meant it's meant for human consumption. But if it's meant to give to the dog, they're not going. And later you want to grab to eat a little bit, you have to make a bracha hametzi. Here we're speaking about he made it a for him as well. You could do zimun on it. That means if people eat together this type of bread, it's called a choshev suuda, a suuda of pas, and you can make zimun. Now it's for our point we're trying to bring. V'nef is b'yomtiv. That's the main thing we're trying to point down to. You're allowed to bake this entire bread, even though part is going for the dog, on yomtiv. It comes already out of our kasha. The chis is already here. Let's continue on the Mishnah. A person could be yoytze on Pesach, of course, if he made sure it wasn't chametz, he's yoytze the chavasi on Pesach. These are all the list of things. Frek the Gemara, why could you bake this entire bread on Yom Tiv? You're also baking for the dog. And the Chitza said if you have the option to split it, you should split it. You're able to split it and give the dog his half, either raw dough, because he's not allowed to. You're not allowed to do malacha for your dog, right? But you only could bake your part. You can't bake the part of the dog. And for the Gemara, shani isas kalavim. The isas kalavim is different. Why? Hoyil. This is the word hoyil, being or because. Hoyil being the efshel faisal benevela. The dog must. I don't have to bake all this for the dog, really. Because I could be mefayis the dog, I could satisfy him with giving him of an available meat. So even though I don't have now meat for the dog, and I know 100% now I will be giving him from this bread, different like by the goy, where there's no way I can take from this bread, like by the goy, I'm giving to the goy. But being here, you have the svara that in theory, I could have not given him this bread. Therefore, there's a head to debate the entire thing. That's hoyil. So right away, there's a sugya, short sugya. The hoyil is not here. The main sugya, hoyil.
This one, it's a domestic dog.
Yeah. He's just helping the shepherd.
A shepherd dog.
So you can't even.
He's your dog.
Can you bake for your own dog?
Yes. So there's two types of animals. An animal that's not mizaynoisav alecha, you're not responsible for its food. Then you have the animals that you are responsible for its food. Then you have your servants, goyish servants, where you are also responsible for their food. But goyish servants, you for sure can't bake for because they know how to bake themselves. So that's considered a goyish servant, even though she or he dependent on you, but they're considered 100% nachrim because they're able to bake. Animals that depend on you, then you have the halachas. Yeah. Shabbos, feeding it, you're allowed to feed it on Shabbos. Yeah. No malacha, you can't do malacha for yourself on Shabbos. On Yom Tif, you would think you could able to bake for it. No, you can't cook for it. Can't do malacha to prepare its food. You could handle sisum. It's not muktzah animal food. even though it says lachem v'loy liklavim, only, but that's only doing melacha. Muktzes the rabbanon. The chachamim allowed you to be metaltel animal food, even though you're not allowed to prepare and do a proper melacha to prepare the food.
And by the way, you have to feed them before you eat.
Every day.
Yeah.
Always, yeah. There's a simon on this Indian. There he brings the difference between for a yid, for your goyish servants, and for your animals that are mezanes alecha. There are different pratim there when you could. Like for the dog, if you didn't put on the fire of your pot yet, for the goyish slaves, you might be able to add meat. But if you already put your fire on the pot on the fire, you can't add the meat. But for yourself, you could add. There's a pratim there. Okay, but that's going to be so for this dog. What do we say? The Isas Klovim, you could bake. So he says, because Hoyel, he holds affecting Gemara. This is Rabchista. Rabchista Hoyel. We're going to bring now a raya that Rabchista does not hold of this concept of Hoyel. Hoyel means hypothetical. We don't now have meat for this dog. We're saying I would in Indian be able to satisfy him. But Rabchista does not hold of this Hoyel concept. Where do we see? We learned. If a person baked on Yom Tif and his intention was to bake for choil, which is not absolutely not allowed. So we over the Isur Deraisa or not? Abchista says loike. You get malchus, that means it's Isur Deraisa. Rabbi Amar Eina loike. Rabbi says you don't get malchus. What's the reason? Abchista loike get malchus. Lo yamrin hoilu mikli le archim chozli hashto. We don't say, listen, I'm baking now for tomorrow. I was not allowed, but if Orchim would have come to my house now, I would feed them the food. So therefore, it's a concept of Hoyel, even though now there are no Orchim. Of course, if there would be Orchim here now, guest here now, I can bake for them a chatchila. So being you say Hoyel, so therefore he says, he doesn't say Hoyel, and therefore you get Malchus. So being Hoyel umikli le Orchim, if Orchim would come by chance today, Chazilei, it would be fit for them. Hashton, now that there's no orchim, it's also fit for them, and therefore you can't get malchus. Rabbi Amar Eina, he says you don't get malchus. Why? We do say hoyel, you can't get malchus. What do we see from here? Abchista, the first opinion says he doesn't hold of this heter of hoyel. So how does he understand? How does he understand the Mishnah in Chala, Masechta Chala, that says you're allowed to bake for your dog? Sagt the Gemara, Ella loy teima. Don't say pshat in that Mishnah. Hoyil ve'efshar. Don't say I would be able to hypothetically satisfy my dog with an avela. Don't say like that. Say it differently. Ella going the east lane avela. That Mishnah of Chala is speaking about he actually has animal food in his possession. He wants to give his dog to eat bread now, but he has animal food. In that case, we say indeed, just like by the guy. Just like in the case of Mara Bishviloi, I could technically eat the entire bread myself. I'm a dog who go hungry, he won't go hungry. I have other food to feed him. After the choose it. So therefore, that's the reason why Masechta Chala, it allows a yid to bake the entire bread, even though part of it is going to the dog, because not necessarily part of it is going to the dog. It's very possible that in this actual scenario, I might give my dog animal food. Okay,
two factors. It belongs to him, and he doesn't necessarily have to give it to the beast.
Right. It's in his hands. It's biyodei. It's in his hand. It's up to him to consume the entire food.
Yeah.
That's the point. Belonging. It's in his hand. He has the right to do it. That's the
The
thing.
goy, he could consume it all somehow, but
can.
it doesn't belong to him.
No, he can't consume the whole thing. Oh, you can't. You mean able to? You mean
There'd be some way that he could. Like
no, that's the question. No, but the
parent.
parent will speak of a case. That would be a question. What he said would be a question.
It doesn't belong to him, and that's the
if there would be a way for him indeed to eat entire bread, then he would be allowed to bake the entire bread, even though now the guy.
Even if he could, the pile, since the guy is a shutuf, so you're not allowed to bake a guy's property.
But maybe it's going to become yours. I mean, you
have to make a kid. It's a thing.
Okay. But let's assume that the guy is not selling it to you. He's eating your meal together now. Either give him his dough, let him go bake it himself, or you know what? So I'll do you a favor. I'm putting in my oven. Let me ready to put in your bread as well. So that's what you say. You can't do that. So the question was by the dog also. Let him separate it. So we answer by the dog. If you hold of hoyil, even If you do a hold of hoil concept, you could say the Mishnah Chala is speaking about a case where you actually even don't have animal food, but being an Indian, you could have. And if you don't hold the din of hoil, if hoil is not a reasoning that you hold of, that you could pass it like a chista, then you're going to have to teach the Mishnah and Chala speaking about a case where you actually have an avela to feed the dog. And in that case, and only in that case, are you allowed to bake the entire bread and also give to your dog from that baked bread that you baked? Because when you baked the bread, it wasn't 100% for the dog. It could have been for the dog, it could have, because they had food on the side from as well. Now we have that's the shit of a chiste.
The hoyle takes it out of the reshus of his dog, which you would normally have to feed. That hoyle takes it out of.
Yeah, because it's not exclusive. It's not. There is no chelik that's exclusively for someone else. That's by the goy. There is a chelik that is exclusively for him. But in this case, there is no chelik that's wholly for the goy because he doesn't have his own. Okay. Let's throw the Rashi. Yeah, the Rashi starts here from the Rashi of Chayeves Bechala. Yeah, the line starts Chayeves Bechala. That's what the Rashi. Last with the Rashi's, the line starts Chayeves Bechala. The lechem kario bay. It's called karina bay. We're calling it lechem. That's chayev b'chalo. The next thing was uma'anvim bo. You could make an erev. So it says Rashi eruv chatzeiros to make an erev chatzeiros lohaitzi mibatim lechatzer to be able to carry from your house to the yard. Shahabatim reshus lechol yochid v'yochid because the houses are individual reshus for every individual. V'hachatzer reshus kulan. But the yard is for everyone. Utzrichin eruv. You need to have an eruv. In order to carry from your house to the chotzer. The next thing we're mishtatfim ba. What's this mishtatfim? It's shituf kari b'mavui. When it comes to b'mishtatet, the chotzer is called by mavui. Shachatzeira is harbe psuchim loi. There's many chatzeiros opening into this alleyway, into this mavui. The whole chatzeiros shebishas, all the chatzeiros, the courtyards in the time of the shas. They were lifnei habatim in front of the homes. How will they get from their house to the main reshus harabim if it's in front of their homes? So either they would go into their chotzer and the chotzer would be open reshus harabim, or it will be open to a mavui and the mavui is open to the reshus harabim. That's just how they would get out of their homes. So when you come from your house in reshus harabim, you either go from there's an opening from your chotzer to the reshus harabim, or no, it's open into an alleyway. And that's a Reshus Harabim. And to that alleyway, there were many other Chatzeiros also open. He described what a mavu is in terms of the Shas. It says, right? Yeah.
The alleyway was that we have here in Kranitz is the same.
No, it's Mefulush. It's open from two sides. It's an under sort. Not sure.
But there are some.
But these are the Reshus HaYochid that are open to the mavu. It's an under gather. Here we have Chatzeiros open to the mavu. Here you have Reshus
backyards that are open to the.
What's it? But the backyards are communal backyards that people could all from all. Yeah, you have to.
No bus.
What's it? Your yard? What?
You
share a backyard with other people, and no gate between them.
No gate between
you and their.
It really belongs to you.
I have to the shul.
Oh, you live right here?
No, across the street. The other shul.
Okay.
I'm next.
It's open to the shul, but it's not.
I have this
buildings also. All buildings in there have chatzeros. Yeah. Apartment buildings all. If you didn't have chatzeros, yeah.
And even the two-family house upstairs, downstairs, you're going to share
the carry. Sure. Okay, fine. But this is if you find a scenario, it's not shot. Not mugbal. If you find a case like the Rashi describes the time of Shas, I find it also here has to be a minimum of how many homes are open to it and a certain measurement. But this is all halachas and hilchas eruvin. But it's all it could apply today. It doesn't apply. It could if you have a scenario. It's not by next to the police station. It's a new, what is that? Malbum. It's also. I don't know. It's closed in.
It's open.
It's like a closed-in area there. It's like closed in. In Europe, it's more shaykh. Like when we lived in Holland, there was such like developments. Maybe in Florida, the developments maybe it could be similar to this concept now. Okay. Yeah.
Does an Arab in Reshus Harabim need a shooting?
What? A Reshus Harabim need to have an Erev Chatzeres.
Reshus Harabim doesn't need shittum or does it need?
The whole Reshus Harabim, you mean?
Yeah.
We're not going to go into this now. This is already halachas of Reshus Harabim, so you make an Erev or not. But this is the Erev. No, you have to, even if you're allowed to make an Erev, And the shaila is you're missing something else. Let's say that you made an Avis. You made them all one big place, but still there's different homes. So it's like a chatzos. You need to have also. So does the Rav or could he make an Eid of Chedez for the whole entire people living in that area or not? We're going mamish off. I mean, not that I know the halacha, but even if it's not the time for it. Let's go back. Let's finish up Rashi. Mevarchen aleh hamoitzi, because the Mishnah doesn't say what. It says mevarchen aleh. Rashi says hamoitzi. So why is Rashi hamoitzi? If Rashi would say hamoitzi, maybe you would think if not, you don't make anything. It says if it's mamish meant not la'adam, only for a kelev, maybe you don't make any bracha. But Rashi says no, hamoitzi. That means if it's for the kelev, maybe there's a bracha that has to make shakel. So maybe it's Rashi found in the Shainim that if it's Michael kelev, you need a bracha. No, what's the bracha shakel? Other Shainim say no. With the Michael kelev, you don't need a bracha b'klal. Hamoitzi afterwards.
The dough. If you make dough for Mezainis pizza,
yeah,
you make a dough, so you have to take challah from it.
Okay.
But if you make a mezainis in it, you still have to take challah.
You're
saying bracha dafka. When do you take challah if it's hamoitzi?
Yeah.
But if it's a mezainis?
Oh, so you have to take challah from mezainis if it's
with
apple
juice.
Are you allowed? Saying if the ingredient is only with apple juice without water, so you take challah, you chid and challah. If I cooked it, I'm saying
mashma dafka hamoitzi, something that's hamoitzi.
Yeah, this becomes hamoitzi. Mezamno leil shloisha she'achol ke'achas. They make a zimun next v'nefes b'yomtiv mishum chelek haroyim. How are you allowed to bake it on Yom Tov? Because of the part of the roya of the shepherd that he will be eating from this isas kelev. So therefore, you're allowed to bake Yom Tov. Pesach. What do you eat in Pesach? So Rashi tells us not the whole entire Pesach. Of course, you don't have to eat matzah the whole Pesach. You could every day of Pesach eat other things. The first night is a chiyuv because I eat matzah. See, what is this? Laila Rishon shel Pesach. Shehu mitzvah lechil matzah. Matzah. You must eat that like matzah. V'shar yomim, the other days of Pesach, you don't have to eat matzah. You want to lechil shar dvarim belei lechem or shus b'yadim. You don't want to eat bread, anything made with flour like matzah. You don't have to eat it. The paison b'nevela. Be able to satisfy your dog, giving him an avela. When it says kula necheles la'adam, if you were to give the dog an avela, then you bake it only for yourself. At the end of the day, after all, that's what he says. The kelev in our situation, if there is no nevela here, he's getting his food from it for sure. Shaharei ein loy nevela. You don't have it here. You're just saying hoyel. The hoyel only for the svara that hypothetically, if it would have been, you could have satisfied him. Only if you would have had an nevela. So you have to say he holds a hoyel. So he said, you see, the chis does not hold a hoyel. Some baked you the hoyel. After he had his suda offer. So Rashi's medayik also. Why did he say after the person ate his suda? What happens if before I ate my suda, I baked from Yom Tov to Choyel? Rashi says,
but since you could use it.
So it's not also, he speaks of, even for sure, even though you're doing it for Choyel. I baked my Yom Tov Suda. I bake my Yom Tov Suda in the morning and I have it ready for Yom Tov. Then I want to bake for tomorrow after Yom Tov. And I go now and bake befedish the breads I'll be eating after Yom Tov. Then Taki, see from Rashi, and the Mepharshim speak about it because the word is there won't be Hasura Sof. You can't thinking about Malchus. Getting Malchus, you have to get a warning. We know that there's no Hasura Sofik is not a proper Hasura. It's Masech Makis. The Sofik is, if it's not sure, only if the person is definitely doing Isra. And also the Eidim have to know that there's Isra done. Now, but the Eidim, the onlookers, when they see it, you don't know, like Moshe said, maybe he's baking it still for the Suda of Yom Tov, even though he knows 100% he's baking for after Yom Tov. He can't give
what he has from before, he'll keep.
Yeah. And even later claims in Bezin, by the way, so Bezin, later on, so he'll say, the Eidim have to be able to see. It has to be recognizable from the scenario that the Isra is being done 100%. And if it's not clear it's being done, before he even ate his meal, he's baking. That he's doing it for later. Who cares? In the Eidim's mind, they're giving him a hasra and a safik. They're like thinking, you know what? I don't know. Is he going to be baking it for today or for tomorrow?
Maybe
let me warn him. Let me warn him just in case. And then we'll take it to best and give him alkis later. So the Eidim, though they warned him, they had a suffix in their mind. And a suffix is not shleish hasra. Therefore, after he already made the suda, then it's clear. They ate already. It's afternoon. They're going soon to sleep at night. and before he goes to sleep at night, it's still day, he's going and baking for the next day. And the Eidim are giving them that warning. It's clear he's baking not for tonight or for tomorrow, and that's called as Tzoros Vadin Arsos. That's his Lachash Sohad. Weiter. Okay, next piece of Gemara. Let's go back to the Gemara. That's the question for Rab Huna. So now Rashi is going to learn the next piece of Gemara that we'll see that Rab Huna actually is arguing with Rab Chisda. Rab Huna L'choyda is going to hold that you don't have to split the dough in half if you're a shutav with a goy, according to Rashi. Because in this upcoming story, it's going to seem that he allows, the moment you could determine that even part of this dough belongs to a yid, according to this next story of Rab Huna, then he'll already allow you to bake the entire dough because part of it could be a Jewish dough, even if the other part is definitely not. And that will be a contradiction to Rab Huna, what we said, like Rab Chisda we said before. So Rashi will learn. Because look in the taste, that taste will learn. Let's start the Gemara. Let's see a story. The story mentioned also in Shulchan Aruch. Rab Huna, they asked the question, Rab Huna, Hani b'nei bago, these b'nei bago. Rashi says, Yisrael hadarim b'kfarim. These are a reference to Yidden that are living in the villages. The Ramu alayu kimcha the b'nei chela. B'nei chela is the chayil, the armies. And the Romulah, it's their job to bake for. They give them kemach, and their job is to bake for them. Ma'ul al-foisa b'yomtiv. They asked Rav Huna, are we allowed on Yom Tov to bake for these soldiers? Omar, he said, Amalei chazina. We have to see. Rifta means bread. Yenuka means a child. If they would give, they wouldn't mind and give even to a Jewish child a piece of bread. For like kapti, and they're not going to mind if it's being given to the child. Kol choda v'choda. So you can look at all these 100 pieces of bread, and every one of these 100 pieces of bread is really fit for that Jewish child. Therefore, chazli yenuka is fit for the yenuka. V'shari alatu v'yilav. If these goyim would be very macro, not even throw one piece of bread to a Yiddish child, also you can't.
You see that we just with the hoil, like it's like you have any asmachta.
Right, but even more. But
well, yeah, that's fine.
But what would Rav Huna hold if you have a shooter with a goy? For sure you could, because half of it is yours. The moment you have half is yours, even though the other half for sure is not. Because in this case, definitely the goyim are getting majority of it. So right, that's what Rashi holds. This is not Rav Huna. But again, it wouldn't mind if Rav Chisda is arguing with Rav Huna. These are both on Miroim. It's not a shaila. So there's no question here. Even if he doesn't agree with Rav Chisda, that's not a problem. The only question is going to be now of the upcoming Beitza. We have a question from a Beitza that seems to contradict Rav Huna's din. A similar case of goyim coming to a city, and from there there'll be a shaila to Rav Huna. What Tanya will learn to the Beitza. Maise b'Shimon hatimani, Shaloi ba'emish b'Samed. She didn't come the night before. Rashi says ben Hashmoshes was Yom Tov by day, and the night before, ben Hashmoshes before Ma'id there was a shir. He wasn't there by the shir. So b'Shachis in the morning, Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba, Rabbi Yehuda mother found this Rab Shimon, and Omar Lei told him, why didn't you come yesterday to the shir? Omar Lei Baleshes Ba Li'ireinu. Baleshes is an attack. Goyim, these are not soldiers. These are goyim that are coming to loot. They want to come and steal. Yeah.
Rashi says Chel Gadol Shel Gdudei Nachem. Shem Mechapshim V'Boishel Nishon.
Yeah. I mean, you have the lotion of Bilshon. Mordechai Bilshon, detective. He's able to, because it's a mission. It's a Mordechai Tzaddik. It's a mission in Talmud, I think. It says the Mordechai Alakinim. So Mordechai Bilshon he's called, Mordechai Bilshon, because he understood Bixen and Seresh's lotion. It can fataichi as a detective. It's a Balshonim. It's also the Balshonim, like the Shibeta, the Balshonis. They're into the Balshonis. So the Bilshon. But here, it's Rashi teaches that's Chel Gadol Shel Gdudei Nachem Shemechapsim Ubelshim Lishlel Shlal. They come and robbing Pasha. And here you're just satisfying them with something, and they'll go. So what do? So he tells the Meister to his Rebbe. He tells Meister Yehuda and Baba. He says that they came to our city. Ubik Shalachtev es Kol Ha'ir. They wanted to chap v'shachatnu lehem egel. We shechted for them a calf. V'chalnum, we gave them to eat from this calf. Upatarnum, and then they shalom, and they left us alone. So that's how we did it. So right, Omar Leis, Yehuda tells him, Tomani, I wonder im lo yotzos charchem befseitchem.
Costs a lot of money to feed them.
So first, you thought that you're going to what? That if they would come and rob, let's say they'll rob $1 million, and you gave them what? Something worth $100, a calf, but you over according to him on the Easter of cooking for a guy and Yom Tif, and the einish of the Easter, the Eibusha can punish you for $10 million. So what you're trying to gain, what you lost by doing an Easter, that's going to be the shining. You see that you're not allowed to do a Yom
He
Tif.
said in the old city.
No, nicht, if that's a koch nefesh. If koch nefesh is not wegen them. In other words, if not, you let them come and take whatever they want to rob. You can't mechal yom tif to say once there's a fire and there's no chance a fire would harm any people. Let's say you're somewhere today, the house are connected. So you must put out a fire on Shabbos and yom tif. But if you live in a house where there's no catch on and there's no people in the house and there's millions of dollars in the house, and a fire catches on Shabbos and Yom Tif, you're not allowed to be Mechal Shabbos to put out the fire. You go out of your house and let millions of dollars go down. A factory is burning, tarnished. So don't even Yom Tif. Saying so, it's not here. It's money, a money issue. If it's good nefesh on the farm, it can turn out to save people. So he tells him, I wonder if you gained anything. Why? But you told me, you can't do malacha for a guy. That's the end of the story. Now, what do we see from here? He took a calf, and the calf and the shechted for the guy. So actually, this is their calf. Yiddish calf. The case before was the kemach from the guy, but they can sell the shechted calf. Take a small piece, cook it for yourself, and the rest you give, or roast the whole calf together. Nemash tickle from the meat, and then give it to the guy. The same way Rabuna says you could do when it comes to the flour. But it says like this. The story was they couldn't eat with egel treifa. So when they were baking and they were processing this treifa, sai they did shechting or killing it. And sai, the roasting it would be only not for themselves at all, only for the goy. Okay, they could give to their klavim. And now we're going to have to take the machlekes tanoim. If you're allowed to, we specified before that we pass the shulchan, you don't cook for your animal, do malacha for your animal. But actually, that is a point of contention between two tanoim. There's a machlekes if one is or not allowed to do malacha for his animals. So v'achaz leklavim. So l'chayda, why was Rabbi Yehuda angry? L'chayda, it was done beheaded. You could have given your kelev a piece of this meat. So he said, "No." So v'amay chaz leklavim. Egel tefer chaz leklavim tanoihi. So in the pasuk says, only that nefesh that you could eat, then you're allowed to do the malacha. First it says l'chol nefesh, and what is nefesh? Nefesh is not just limited to human beings. We see a lotion of the Torah that nefesh also is animals. Where do we see? Where do we see this? The in the pasuk. The pasuk refers to an animal by saying nefesh. So from the beginning, the pasuk it's mashma. You could cook for do malacha for nefesh for behema. But the hemshcha custom says lochem. So we're going to soon see. What do you do? So lochem means v'loy leklavim. This is Rabbi Yisrael Glidner. Hold, we pass lochem. Lochem v'loy leklavim. And Kiva Imer, afilu nefesh behema b'mashma. He says no. It means they're not. What does it mean lochem? What are you excluding? Im kema tamrim lochem. Lochem v'loy lekachavim. So lochem teaches you to not for goyim but animals yet. Okay. Rabbi Yisrael says not animals, not goyim, but only for yid. So first go so we have one word of the pasuk is looking to include, to be marbe, a group of a group. Another word that's a word nefesh. The other word the lochem is coming to exclude. So why is Rabbi Akiva deciding to include klavim, right, in the nefesh? And lachem to exclude goyim, why to include goyim? Goyim also called nefesh, for sure, the human beings, and exclude the animal. Okay? So he said, according to Rabbi, there's no shaila. Rabbi said they're both excluded. It's both lachem. According to Rabbi Kiva, the shaila, and for the Gemara, Umar Yisol Rabbi says a klav malheitzi save the kachavim. Why? So and for the Gemara, Marban Yisa klavim. Why you marbe klavim? Because it's a svara. Shem zoynoi seyen alecho. The like we said before, even your goyish slaves, you don't have to feed. And therefore, the Svara goes, the Pasuk says 1 year, we're not going to include this next to that.
So he doesn't know Rabbi Kiva doesn't know the word nefesh.
He learns nefesh comes to include, you're allowed to cook for animals. You're allowed to do malacha for nefesh. Nefesh means for nefesh for animals, for your clothing. And Rabbi Saglili says that no, lachem means only for Yidden. Now, what does Rabbi Saglili do with nefesh? And nefesh is not that a strange thing. Nefesh is just people. Nefesh can mean anything. Nefesh can mean human beings or animals. Basically, it means your nefesh. Why the pasuk happen? What else should the pasuk say? Pasuk say Adam. Pasuk just not nefesh. Rabbi Kiva is medayik that being nefesh also means animals. So that means you can do malacha for animals. Who's the halacha like? The rule is, Beitza says. Look at that case on top of Chemel, Klov Divrei Saglili. Omer Rab Shmuel mi Arbero b'Shem Ochiv Rab Meisha. He says, this is the Bali Teisvis. Halacha Rabbi Saglili. I forgot the kind of the halacha is. The halacha Rabbi Kiva mi Chaveiroi. Was the machlekes of Rabbi Kiva and Chaveirov of many chachamim halacha the Chaveirov. But the halacha, what is Rabbi Kiva and Chaveiroi of Rabbi Kiva? The ho. So why are you talking about it? The ho. Ishkachno stoma the Mishnah kavased mesech techalo. This Mishnah we said by he the Ma'israel. He says klavim is man sholei ma'ichlin remeno nefesh b'yomtiv. Because we have the rules. We have a stam Mishnah like stam Mishnah. So we see a stam Mishnah says from that Mishnah you're allowed to bake and do malachas. You see clearly from there you're allowed to bake for a kelev and stam Mishnah. The dafka is man sholei ma'ichlin remeno. If not, if the royim don't eat from it, you can't bake for them. Is that right? The Allah is like a race like glue. You can go ahead and bake this isas clothing because it's you're allowed to do for clothing. Okay, let's go right in the Gemara. That he says that you are not allowed to do malacha for your kelev the way you're passing today. Hani soifle l'chiyusa. These soifle l'chiyusa, heichi shadina lehu b'yamtiv. What is soifle l'chiyusa? Says Rashi. Says what? The seeds of dates. Date seeds that you have.
Who does that? To the animals.
Yeah. Heichi shadina garine tamarim, the top line of a tam of dates. Heichi shadina l'Rashi. The time is, why should you not be able to throw it? Kiven the adam loy chazu u'ma'achal behema loy mishtri. Therefore, I said it hilto. If you're allowed to do malacha for your animal. Of course, you can even go ahead and bake for your animal. If you can't do malacha for your animal, you're allowed to hand him food. But apparently, over here, it's not just handing him those dates seeds. You have to process it a little bit. You're doing some malacha with it. So because you're doing malacha with it, and it's meant for animals, Rashi said it's muktzah. This doesn't say it's muktzah. Rashi says muktzah. And if it's muktzah, you can't handle it. And therefore, how not to throw it? And apparently, then the Gemara knew that people would throw this to their dogs.
Right, you had to cut them up or something.
So how do you do it? No, you also use it for fire fuel. And fire fuel, you're allowed to. You put it in tinach if it's going to be yavish, it's a dry seed. But if it's what? Tifta, if it's going to be wet, then you can't use it for fire. Michael he says, you're able to be mastic a big fire with it, even if it's dry, even if it's wet branches or wet thing, you could. Not the Shabbos, not just on the base, like not the Shabbos, even on a Kiva. Everyone holds on Shabbos, you can't do any malacha for your clothing and malacha for yourself. So hot tinach, you're allowed to do this meaning of throwing these things to the animal on Yom Tif. Apparently, they would also do it on Shabbos. So Tinach be Yom Tif, you can do it on Yom Tif. Shabbos, Michael, and Meimar, you can't put it into any fire on Yom Tif. So he says, the metal telino and luhu agav rifte. You're going to carry it in a way that you could carry muktzah things. Rifte means you have a piece of bread where you could carry. Once a person passes away, we know, what do? You put on the goof, on the body, you put a piece of bread, and you can metal. There's a chiddush. There you could even be metal to the body itself, which is muktzah, agav, the bread on top of it. But any other types of muktzah, you can't carry a muktzah thing because the bread on top of it. But if you have the breads in the bottom and you're actually metal to the bread, then on top you have seeds and a muktzah, then you're allowed to metal to agav. That's only by mess, because covered abris, we say you can actually tell the mess and the bread on top of it. But upon him, he holds you're allowed to use bread to transport other items. There's a whole other sugi of bizoyin of eichel, and that's going to be a little bit here, but it's a Shulchan Aruch, the sim is missing, but it's a sim Shulchan Aruch for the bizoyin eichel. So he says here, technically have a shayla, but metal, put on top of bread, and then you can throw it to your animals in that way. Sagt and I could Shmuel, the Shmuel says, Oisa Odom called Sorke bepas. A person could do always tzarachim on top. He could put a piece of bread here and put his Gemara on the bread. There's nothing to do with Shabbos or Yom Tov. It's even during the week, and we're not chosh because of bizoy and oichel. And today you have some time about the simchas. I don't know if we do it anymore, but Amud had the bowls of soup would be a piece of bread. They carve out a piece of bread and put the soup inside. Right? They still do it today.
They do it with salad.
Yeah, they do it.
They do it with salad.
They do it with soup also.
Whatever it might be, but the shaila is most of the time they're throwing it out.
Yeah.
But people eat the bread. So people eat the whole bread.
No, but I'm they throw that. I know even a pass,
I'm saying so. They have to be careful. Because they want to allow it. We have to. So some people say every bite you should take a little bit of the bread. If not, you can't use past. Now you could use past, but not to bizoy. It's a Shulchan Aruch. You could use past. You're allowed to use past, but not if it's going to get ruined. If by me putting, like it says, you shouldn't put a cup of wine on bread because the wine might spill and ruin the past or other things. So only things that will indeed not ruin it, but even to use it, you're allowed to. But Shmuel holds you could, others say you can't. So Shmuel's Michael, he says, and he's Adam called Tzarkei Pas. That's answering the Shiloh. How could we use these seeds? Now, Upliga da Bishub Levi, going back to before, Bishub Levi argues with Rav Huna, yeah? That's Rav Huna? I should pliga Rashi. Pliga Bishub Levi. Had Rav Huna del Il the Amar. That what? If the guy would allow to give one bread to the children, yeah, if not. This is arguing with Rav Shmuel Levi. What does he say? He said, Mezamnim. So also another again. This halacha Mishulchan Aruch we do have now the Rebbe about inviting a guy to your Shabbos meal or to your Yom Tov meal, and it's a similar Shulchan Aruch. So pliga da Bishub Levi, Mezamnim. It's a nochri b'Shabbos. One could invite a guy to come eat your Shabbos meal. Vei Mezamnim. It's a nochri b'Yom Tov. You can't be Mezamnim Yom Tov. Gzeir Hashem Yabe b'Shviloi. Because you might go ahead and add more. What do you see from here? According to the tarnished, because you might go ahead and the Marash did for sure. It's your house, it's all your food. You could have eaten any piece of the food you wanted. Nevertheless, you can't go and eat it. So the he argues before, like I said before.
But the halacha is not like him, right?
The halacha is you can't divide a goy to your house or Yom Tov. The Kudush Shulchan Aruch, I just looked at today, so I know the Kudush Shulchan Aruch is that the thread is whenever you're being mechabed the goy, we're worried you might want to give him more. So if the schlepper come into your house, a goy, who's coming to your house and there's less of a gzeire, you might go ahead and add more. You give whatever you have in your house, so therefore you can give a goy to eat. Also, if you're sending it to the goy, there's no gzeire, you're going to add more. But if you invite them, or you have a gvir who has a goyish friend, and you want to come to your
wife,
whatever, and you want it to come, so you want to impress them. Maybe if the food won't be that good, won't be enough, you're going to go ahead and now you shouldn't do it. So that's going to be that's also why the slaves you could cook. There is more of a head to cooking for your slaves than the stomach a goyish visitor. Why? Because your slaves, you're not mechabed them, so therefore you're not worried so much. Even though you shouldn't do it, but it says there in the halach itself, it's an alo madregi. You're allowed to do some things for your slaves, but to the goyish guest who you're being mechabed, you have to be very careful. You're married b'shvuloi. Of course, for the animal, there's also a thing married b'shvuloi. You're not going to marry more. Whatever you had before, you had it. So this is the nekuda, but that's what he says. Like we see argues with Rav Huna. Rav Achbar Yankiv on Afil b'Shabbos nami loy. Even Shabbos you shouldn't invite a goyim. Why not? Because of shiure cases. Shiure cases. The leftover in the cups. You have wine. You give everyone wine, and the goy also gets wine. And he puts bread into the wine, so it's most over there, and it's left over the bottom of the cups, and becomes muktzeh pasha. So the cup becomes muktzeh. Why does it become muktzeh? Because there's something in the bottom. Now, we're going to pshat, and you have no use of it. You can't even give it to your animals because yayin nesach can't have any hanor from. So this little wine that's in the bottom of the cup, is muktzeh. So how are you allowed to carry the cup? So he says he was saying mishum shiuri cases. But also. Sure, case is mouse. No one's going to eat. This is not edible. How are we allowed to take plates from the table when the leftovers in the plate are not going to be eaten? It's mouse and it's muktzah. So he says not chosel time galing. Do you do? We said before that your own animals that are soymich on your table, on your business and alecha, you're allowed to feed. So what's left over in your cup or your plates, technically is not muktzeh. Why? You could feed it to your own animals. To them also chazer the time again. You could give the goyish extra food over. Oh, the day you study hanoninu. We're speaking here about many times they put the wine inside the cups, and therefore you could not give it to your animals. So it's not even royal achilas kelev, because you can't give your animals. It's also bahanot, and therefore it's going to be muktzah. So therefore he says even Shabbos one should not invite to do it. Allah is not like him, but it's Shabbos not the right to do it. In fact, I have an eitzah. I keep him metaltel ultaltelinu agav koso. I'm not touching the actual isur itself the most. I'm holding the cup, and the cup is l'chayre. The cup is not muktzeh. It's the thing inside that is muktzeh. Someone said, hey, you have the bread, you put the seeds on top of the bread, but the bread is not muktzeh, so it isn't the cup. So he says, didn't the Rava tell us the same scenario with something else that you're allowed to do it? What is this? Because the taltlin kanuna agav katme. Katme is ashes, and kanuna is the keli that you put coals there to make ashes. That's for sure muktzeh machmas isur, because that keli normally is meant to make fire. But now you want to have ashes for what? Shabbos, to do something mutter with it. You have Shabbos prepared for Shabbos to cover soya, chulu, with Rashi, to cover things. So you have here the ashes itself is muchon. There's no problem to metal the ashes to use to put on your floor on Shabbos. Only problem you want to transport it in a keli that is asur, and we see you're allowed to do it. So it says now what's the problem to do? There's no problem. But in that keli, there's also small pieces of wood, small splinters of wood. And that for sure is asur. That's muktzeh, because you have no use. But within that keli, you also place some ashes, and the ashes is not muktzeh. So you have here a keli, which is muktzeh machmas isur. However, you could use legufa. You could use the keli. You have ashes inside, which is also heter. But you have the eitzim that are inside that are asur. What do we say? And nevertheless, even though the shivri eitzim over there, Rava allowed them to carry it, because what do you say? It's not choshev at all. It's not choshev at all. The main thing is the cup is choshev and the ashes are choshev. So there also, it's the little leftover yayin. The cup is not choshev. The cup is choshev. So why should you say? Why should you say that the yayin, that the cup should become also the ag of the little? It's not really choshev. The cup comes to the boss's lisur. It's important of choshev or not.
It's got bread in the cup.
Pieces of bread. Pieces of bread is not choshev at all. When you're going to come and move your leichter on Shabbos, if you're going to put down. People want to move the leichter on Shabbos, yeah, or Chanukah. So you have to make sure before Shabbos you put something choshev. A siddur, we say, even though a siddur for sure is choshev, because there's no. I mean, a siddur, even a small tilim is worth by you, right?
You still can't move with that because of other reasons.
Well, no, not b'shas you can't halit. No, not b'shas.
Even after, I think, because. But when Shabbos came in, it was us.
Look, the bosses stayed one. So people said, if your leichter is silver and it's worth thousands, and you're putting up a piece of cake,
Especially now, it's our silver.
But I see the they discuss. Saying it depends on the cheshivos. So the cheshivos is very important. But it's a shiur.
So, but I know that to move a thing on Shabbos is not so simple at all.
Sure not. Look at
I'm saying I don't know you're allowed even by putting in the thing.
Consider before Danish Moses.
So remember we learned the
Hanukkah
You're allowed to move
3 years already.
It's
3 years already.
No,
not b'shatz is lit. B'shatz is chashon. People be careful. B'shatz it can't lit. You can't move because you're going to be. It's going to go out.
that's for sure. Even the rest of Shabbos.
Okay, so people on the had there also what should come first to the table also. First put down the dover heter, then put the leichter on this tray. It's something, even though before you really Ben Hashmoshes makes the main thing. We have to look at Ben Hashmoshes. So, but I had to put it before the dover heter. Put first that siddur or first, and then put down the leichter. But if you have a siddur and a siddur dover choshuv, and then you have the leichter. Then okay, good. Of course, ask her off. I'm saying
we learned
that's how you do it.
Shabbos. It was mashma you're not allowed to.
What'd you
Okay.
Oh,
I
but
cooked
see,
it.
that's
Lama cooked it.
not
Lama cooked it. Okay.
Whatever, I'm saying.
Halacha ma'aser,
If you're saying-
frag it off. No, I'm saying.
I'm saying, if you're saying it's, I'm saying.
Right, sure. So if why don't you check with it up to see exactly what's allowed and what's not allowed, and to see if one should do it or not on Shabbos.
But
Okay.
see, bread, see, I don't-
Yeah.
I don't-
Does that finish? I think even the whole shop is not allowed to move it.
Okay. So so Rava says that the same way. So it's the same way Rava allowed you to carry the kois. Even though there was some mukts in the kois, this shivri eitzim, but the main thing there was what the ashes, and therefore you're allowed to carry it. So there also the kois, your silver cup that has a little wine from the goy in the bottom, leftover bread and wine, which is not significant. It's going to be allowed to carry the cup. That does okay. So okay. No. So he says no. He says Shabbos. You still should not invite a goy. Why? I find a big difference over here. Because what's in the bottom of your cup by the goy is mamish also not just with that Shabbos. It's also the bahanoah. It's hainesek. Hasam lavi suri hanoninu. My rove and also bahanoah. Those shivre eights and also bahanoah. It's just something that's moved on Shabbos. But hachis suri hanoninu. So that's why he holds. You shouldn't invite goyim even on Shabbos. Allah is not like him. There's no difference. Let's finish up. Amalei. Rabach medifta l'Ravina. There's another din of this double most after the bucket of excrement from a human being that or anything and it's a waste and it's very it's partially disturbing. So the whole part is muktzah the chacham because COVID abriyas you're allowed to go and move it be metallic on Shabbos Yom Tov. Here also this is disgusting. It's a piece of a cup on the table leftover food and maybe you should be allowed to be metallic because graf shodi.
Yeah, but it's not giving off an odor. Over there, the whole design is the odor.
But having on the table the next to you, a couple of shal shudas, and you're gonna have to see this cups that are there.
Like this, yeah?
So what?
Like this.
That's she no. The graph shiri is lachatchil without anything. You could carry anything. Well, here speaking of lachatchil, you could go with a towel, graph a bucket of waste. You could go because of kolabrius. Now, so what I was going to say, so consider this also for the Gemara. What's graf shali? A person has to relieve himself, and therefore talking breder. And if you have this bucket in the house, and therefore you can take it out. Here you're inviting the goy to create the graf shali. That's talking about nicht. You can't invite a goy and create this graf shali. Oh, chavish ken breder. That's no. Don't invite the goy. You won't have this graf shali. About Izgin, Muzaman Izgin.
What's it made? You can move it.
So he's asking, let it be graf shali, but we're speaking about inviting a goy Shabbos. Or you're asking if it's already there or not. If it already was, that's somebody says you shouldn't invite a goy lechatchila. You're saying, according to that, I made. If you would invite the goy and you have it there, maybe it's a good Shabbos. It's not graf shali. Okay, let's go to the end. Yeah. Adabre Rav lemar Shmuel v'Dorash. They're walking together and they darshan. V'zamin is anocher b'Shabbos, v'zamin is anocher b'Yom Tov. Zeh Shem Rabbi Shvilei, like we paskin. V'reimer Umar Zutra. Ki have a mikle lehu anocher b'Yom Tov, and a guy would come to them Yom Tov. Omlo, he told the guy, Ini chalach b'mai the tarichen alon. If you're satisfied with the tirich I already did for you before Yom Tov, means the food that's available over here by the table, mutav, come to my house and eat. If you don't be satisfied, you're going to want more. I'm not going to tirich more Yom Tov. Okay, so you'll start next time, next week.
You asked too many questions, so we
No, we didn't do the rashes and the tastes. Okay.
No, we did listen. We started.
We don't have to do a blot a day.
So that's a shaila. You want it to be the
quantity.
we could do more.
I think this is
Cover daf every
You want
time.
quantity?
no.
You want quantity
Yeah.
and quality.
Do a little less, but let's do it with Rashi and
Good. You don't mind that?
Oh,
I don't mind the
No
little
quality.
questions.